Wondering how to set up a Montessori-inspired playroom that doesn't break the bank? You're in the right place. Today, I'm sharing tips, ideas, and decor, plus a walkthrough of our actual playroom to hopefully relieve your stress, remind you that you don't need to go out and buy all the things, and also create a friendly and functional space for the whole family. I'll also share some tips about how I had this room set up back when my daughter was more of a baby, around 1 year old, and then how we transitioned it for her being 2 now into more of a toddler playroom. And if you guys are new here, my name is Rachel from the Confused Millennial. Welcome. This video is part of a larger Montessori at Home series. So when it comes to like an overall theme of setting up a Montessori playroom, I like to keep in mind 3 of Dr. Montessori's findings. Number 1, child-sized furniture and decor. So kind of getting down on their eye level, getting an idea of what they see. Are they able to sit and interact with the space comfortably? Dr. Montessori found that child-sized furniture and items in a space led to less frustration in the children and more engagement, which is what we want. Number 2, that it's decluttered and orderly. Everything has a place. What Dr. Montessori found in observing children was that clean, decluttered, orderly spaces often led to more positivity and overall calmness in the kids, which sounds really nice when you have a toddler. Number 3, that it fosters freedom, independence, and responsibility. What Dr. Montessori found is that when we foster that sense of independence and responsibility in kids, it leads to a higher self-esteem, a deeper love of learning, and it kind of invokes their natural curiosity. I find when we keep those 3 things in mind while setting up our space or shopping for our space, it makes it a lot easier to say yes, no, and really kind of just simplifies the entire process. And we're able to use more of the items that we actually have. Before we jump into the furniture and walking you through the space, I just want to share a quick note with you guys. I did a blog post a long time ago when we first moved into this house all about creating a mood board for your home. Something I suggest going and reading because it's what really allowed us to repurpose items from other areas of our house into this room. Of course, there's things I want to swap out and change, and I do plan on doing. I personally don't think during the baby and toddler years we should run out and buy a ton of furniture personally for us, because we do plan to homeschool eventually when our kids get to like elementary school age, and I know our storage solutions and furniture needs in this room, which will probably end up becoming a homeschool room, will change at that time. Moving into the actual furniture and playroom tour now. First up, we have this entertainment center from IKEA. We use this as our quote-unquote Montessori shelf. When my daughter was a baby, we literally had just moved into this house when she was 6 weeks. This thing was full of just stuff, books, storage. This used to be in my office. So instead, for her Montessori toy shelf, we literally just used a bench. When you see these beautiful curated Montessori shelves with the cubbies and each one has a section with just 1 item in it, those are lovely, but they're not necessary. You could literally use a shoe rack. Just put out 3 to 5 items either on the floor under the shelf, or once she could start pulling herself up to stand, we put them on top of the shelf. It was the perfect height for her, super simple, no need to buy anything. Of course, once we moved into the toddler years and actually started to organize this room, we went ahead, cleaned out this IKEA entertainment center and started to use this as our Montessori shelf. The doors are super lightweight. My daughter has been able to open them since I don't even remember. Those are see-through so she can see everything that's in there. I know one of the big questions is always how many items should I have out for my child? During that baby range, I would say definitely under 7. In the toddler range, I think between 5 and 10 is usually good. It depends on the item, it depends on your kid. Going back to Montessori's concept of decluttered, when there's too many options available, it can actually shock our nervous systems a little bit and make it hard to choose what to do. It's like when you open your fridge and you're like, oh man, there's so many choices. I don't know, I feel like I have nothing. That same kind of concept comes into play when we're setting up the toys in our playroom. Currently on our shelving system, underneath the shelving system is actually our box of magnet tiles. We put that there because it's pretty heavy and this way my daughter can just slide it out on her own. But over on the right, the Love Every block set, I'll leave a link to my full review. We love this. That always stays in there. She always has access to that. On the shelf above it, we have a combination of a sticker book book and coloring books. Again, those always stay out. She always has access to those. And then once we move into the open shelving area, this is where I start to rotate our toys. Right now we have flower stems, which I talked about how much we love these right now in my Love Every the Helper Play Kit review. And then next to that, I usually keep a puzzle out as well. This is another one from Love Every. On the top shelf, my daughter has been really into that Easter bunny hop game I shared in my Easter toddler activities video. A little toy that we got from the Dollar Tree that works some fine motor skills and gross motor skills. And then next to that is a container, and inside of that are just these loose little animal figurines. She usually has like 6 of them in there. I don't know where she put the other ones right now, but the jar itself works as a nice fine motor activity. And then my daughter really loves to have little animals and characters. She can also use those when building a world with her Magnetiles or her Love Every block set. Over in the other shelving compartment, color sorting peg ring. Tip for you guys, whenever it comes to puzzles, it's good to have them deconstructed with all of the parts in a basket next to it. In my experience, kids are a lot more likely to engage with the item when it's not already completed. Underneath that, we have this little KiwiCo pouch right now, another Love Every item. This one we can use for math skills, we can use for color sorting skills. The other thing I forgot to talk about was what's on top, which again, we really went functional here. This basket is actually my free weights basket, 3 and 5 pound weights, because I tend to work out when I'm sitting in here. Picture of my dad who passed away and my daughter is named after him. She actually put this out and put it in here. Again, just random stuff that we already had. Like this was back from when I was a therapist and in my office. And then this is kind of like loose materials. I have some painter's tape in here because we do a lot with painter's tape in this room. Spare like paper towel rolls, just random things all kind of go up there. And then this is some spare butcher paper for activities. Next to our Montessori shelf, we have an easel, also from my IKEA. Underneath that, we have our balance board, another gross motor skill activity. In the corner over here, we have a crawling tunnel and a cleaning set. I will say this room is right off of our kitchen. If spill happens or anything like that, she can go into the kitchen, she can grab a towel, and she can come in here and wipe it up. If we were not right off the kitchen, I would probably have a little bit more of a cleaning space set up. I would probably have a sponge and a towel in here. We keep a potty in here if she has an accident, anything like that. It is her responsibility to clean it up. Obviously, you guys have seen my fiddler triangle. I've talked a lot about it in my Montessori gift guide. We can easily fold this up and put it along this wall as well. I also get a lot of questions about our play mat. We love it. It kind of looks like a rug from a distance, but when you're sitting on top of it, it definitely does not look like it. It's textured. It's really easy to clean, super durable. We also have our sensory table from IKEA, which I love. I knew I wanted a child-sized table in here, and I like that the tops come off to expose sensory bins. One pretty much always houses our kinetic sand, and I just got these like Play-Doh tools off of Amazon to work with that. And the other one, it floats. Sometimes I'll set that up as a sensory bin. Right now it has like a wooden counting board and wooden blocks. She can't lift those out on her own yet, so she needs to come and ask one of us. I think in the next 3 to 5 months, she'll probably be able to. Underneath the table are a couple baskets. One is full of dolls and balls, which my daughter loves. And the other one has just a few musical instruments available to her at all times. I'll also link in the description box my buying guide for the best toy guitars for your child if you're interested in that. We ended up opting for a real ukulele. I explained it all in the blog post. Next to our sensory table is this open hutch, and this is what I'm saying. Use items that you already have. Speaking of, I forgot to mention, the tapestry behind our Montessori shelf, again, was from my old office setup. The open hutch used to be in my office. Don't love that it like comes up taller than the couch, but it works really well for making this space functional. On the floor, we have a little wooden chest, which is not Montessori at all. Yes, she can open it herself, but inside is a bunch of dress-up clothes. Next to that, we have a plastic bin from the Dollar Tree or a bunch of board books. Again, not Montessori at all. Montessori suggests displaying all the books with the covers facing out for the child. We don't really have space to do that in this room. The middle shelf, we used to have 1 or 2 toys on. We used to keep her sticker book over here and then just a few books. I I've recently been testing out giving my daughter access to almost all of her books. She has some in her room and then there's some in the nursery. And I don't know how I feel about this yet. I may end up switching this back. And then the top shelf, and this is what really works for us, we have 3 little bins. One bin is for her lotions and creams. My daughter has struggled with eczema, so we have all that skincare stuff there. The middle bin is for loose parts. Any random balls, random toys somehow just end up in this room and we need to pick up and take it off the floor, go there. And then the third basket, we also keep diapers and wipes in here. My daughter is potty trained. She's not potty trained for overnight sleep yet, so we usually keep a couple diapers in there. This room is the heart of our house. My daughter's room is specifically just for sleep. We change her diaper out here. We comb her hair out here. We do bedtime routine out here. She literally does not do anything in her room other than sleep, and maybe we'll sometimes read some books when she wakes up from a nap. So that's kind of how the hutch works. That top shelf obviously has things that I wouldn't want a baby playing with, and a baby couldn't access it. Now that my daughter's 2, she can go climb on the couch, get the diapers. She can get her own lotions and bring them to me. It still does foster a sense of responsibility. She has access to all of the things that are age appropriate for her, which I guess leads us to the couch. Out of my old office, it's pretty low to the ground, so my daughter has been able to climb up onto it herself since she was 1 year old. On the other side of the couch is that orange bench I mentioned earlier. I just have not been able to bring myself to take it out of this room. So no, I know it doesn't look amazing. Underneath it, I can store boxes. And I also keep this basket out here. I know one of the common things with Montessori is like a Montessori wardrobe and letting your kid get dressed for themselves. We do let her choose her own clothes, but we don't give her full access to her whole closet. And mostly because she doesn't care. Like, she doesn't have a major interest in picking out her clothes at the moment. She comes out in the morning, she takes off her pajamas, it goes into this basket. This basket is kind of like our half dirty transitional clothes basket. So those clothes that typically end up on your floor. We'll go ahead, lay out 2 outfit choices for her for the day. She gets to pick one. Before nap time, we take off those morning clothes, back into pajamas, goes to bed. Afternoon, out of pajamas, back into those morning clothes. So she has access to them. She can change her clothes. She can go ahead and put them when she takes them off into the basket. And it's our version of a Montessori wardrobe that just makes sense for us. This is right off of our front door. We have a box there, and that's where my daughter's shoes are. And she can go ahead, pull out the box, put on her own shoes. She has access to everything. And of course, it's all age appropriate. I was not forcing her to learn to put on her shoes. She took an interest in it. We keep her shoes somewhere that she just so happens to have access to. And the other thing that you will see a lot in Montessori playrooms is a mirror at the child's height. Our full length mirror here is about the child's height. My daughter runs over to it all the time. She'll pull out clothes from her dress up bin and run over to there. It's our fireplace hearth. We use this for all sorts of different things. Sometimes the dollhouse is up there like it is right now. Sometimes the dollhouse is back here behind me. It tends to move around a lot. And then my daughter does get screen times when she has her iPad. We set it up at the fireplace mantle. She'll just pull down one of those lounge cushions, sit on that, eat, watch a little TV. She will do different puzzles on. She does all sorts of different things there. She loves it there. We live in Florida. We have never used our fireplace once. I redid it. You guys can go ahead and watch the whole series. It was a beast to redo. And then the last little thing is this wall mural behind me. My daughter chose the quote. I hand painted it. I have a full tutorial on how to do that and how to customize it if you're interested. We did not put up a lot of art in here, again, because I don't know what this space is going to look like in 3 years. I may end up painting that wall like a chalkboard wall. A lot of Montessori inspired playrooms will have real life plant for practical life skills in there. We don't have that because this room, both of these walls on either side of me are sliding doors. One opens up to our courtyard, one opens up to our backyard. I just didn't feel a need to go ahead and bring in any nature because we have nature on both sides of us in here. The other thing I didn't feel the need to set up in here was a calming corner. I think nature is the best way to calm our children. We can literally open the sliding glass door, or we can go into her room. Her room does have a calming corner set up. The big tip I will say, we did not set up this space overnight, and I really let my daughter lead. When she has shown an interest or a new stage of development, I have adapted the space to grow with her rather than trying to anticipate the needs. So I wait for a pain point to happen and then I solve it before trying to do a bunch of stuff that I just end up feeling like I have to redo. One of the other little tips I want to share, Montessori areas and stations. So if you were to go into a Montessori classroom, you'll typically see 5 areas represented. In this room, all of those areas are represented. So we have her books over there for language. Sensorial, of course, we have the kinetic sand and the sensory bin, but we also have items that represent it on her shelf. And on that shelf as well are items that work with her on early math concepts. For cultural studies, we of course have the art easel, the crayons, and then we have the music instruments here. As far as practical life goes, the cleaning supplies over here. We also have her comb over on the top of the hutch, her diaper, her lotions, all practical life skills. So it actually opens up directly into our kitchen. So one of the things that you won't see in here is a toy kitchen. Number one, we don't really have the space in here. Number two, I kind of just figured save the money and use our real life kitchen. We have a toddler learning tower. My toddler can climb into that to eat her snacks at the kitchen counter with us. She can push it over to the sink to use the sink for whatever she needs. That is kind of how practical life is represented. So if you kind of want a checklist, like, is my space hitting different areas for my kid? Those are 5 areas to keep in mind. As one other area that's at 0 to 3 range are fine and gross motor skills. Most toys are going to work those naturally though, so I wouldn't stress too much about it. I would say make sure you have at least one item for some good gross motor skills if you get stuck inside. It doesn't need to be something big. It can literally be paper cutouts of colors. There's a lot of different ways to get these things met, but that would be kind of the checklist when you are rotating out toys or setting up your space. I'd say like, okay, do I have stuff that represents each of these areas? Really get on your knees, look around your room, see what's accessible to your kids, see where their pain points might be, then also stand up and ask yourself, where are your pain points? How can you make this a functional space that you want to be in as well? And that was kind of how we went about creating this space. It was not, how can we make this a kids only room, but how can we not spend a ton of money and make this a space that functions for us as a family. Of course, this will obviously grow and change as my child gets older. Make sure to hit that notification and subscribe button so you guys don't miss more videos like this. In the meantime, feel free to go ahead and check out those Love Every Play Kit reviews because those are basically, as you guys saw, all of our toys. I also have a Montessori inspired gift guide for 1 to 2 year olds, which goes into a little bit more detail about the toys that you saw in here today, as well as toys that are not currently displayed out here. If you guys have any questions at all, feel free to drop them in the comments below or hit me up on Instagram at The Confused Millennial. Have a good one.